Hey, English adventurers! Have you ever looked at someone and thought, wow, they're mentally really strong?
All the time, actually, especially this week.
What if I told you you're probably stronger than you think?
Me? I'm not so sure about that.
That's exactly why we're talking about this today, honestly.
Rough week is what happened. I kept doubting myself, wondering if I even handled things well at all. Small things kept going wrong, and by Thursday, I genuinely thought maybe I'm just not built for this.
That thought is way more common than people admit, honestly, and I don't think it's true. So let's find out together. Today, we're talking about 7 small signs you might already be mentally stronger than you think.
By the end of this episode, you'll be able to recognize these signs in your own life, plus some useful English words and phrases for talking about emotions, pressure, and pushing through. Fair warning, number 7 completely changed how I think about this, so stick around for that one. It's the one I keep coming back to, even days later.
Now you've really got my attention. Let's start with something really simple. Sign 1, you can sit in silence without immediately reaching for your phone.
Oh, that one's hard. The second there's nothing to do, my hand just goes to my pocket.
Almost everyone's does, honestly. That's what makes it a real sign of strength, not weakness. Being okay with a quiet moment, waiting, even a little boredom. Think about waiting rooms, actually, a doctor's office, or standing in a queue somewhere.
Everyone's just staring at their phone the second they sit down.
Almost everyone. But the person who can just sit there, look around, maybe just think for a minute, that's not weakness, even though it looks like doing nothing.
It's doing something, just quietly. So what's 2?
Before that, being patient, P-A-T-I-E-N-T, with silence instead of filling it immediately. That's really all sign 1 is.
I associate silence with being restless, if I'm honest. Like something's wrong if nothing's happening.
Restless is such a good word for it, actually. That itch to do something, anything, rather than just be still.
So sign 1 is basically comfortable with quiet.
Comfortable with quiet, yeah. Not loving silence necessarily, just not afraid of it. Okay, what's 2?
You don't react to every emotion you feel.
Meaning,
Meaning, feeling something and acting on it immediately aren't the same thing. I got a slightly annoying email this week and I wanted to answer immediately, kind of sharply.
and did you?
I didn't, actually. I waited an hour, and by then, it didn't even feel worth reacting to that way.
That's the gap, isn't it? Between the impulse and the actual choice.
Yeah, I never really thought about that before.
An impulse is that sudden feeling that makes you want to do something immediately.
Like sending that angry text.
Exactly. It sounds tiny, but it's actually where most of our regrets live, the space we skip right past.
I never thought about it that way, but you're right. Almost every message I regretted sending, I sent within about 30 seconds of feeling something. Never the ones I waited even a few minutes on.
Exactly that. Impulse, then a pause, then a choice. Most people skip straight from impulse to action.
I definitely do that with text sometimes. Fire something off, regret it 5 minutes later.
We've all been there, but noticing that gap even exists, that's already sign 2, right there. It's strange how something so small, just waiting an hour before replying, can change the whole outcome of a conversation.
It really can. The email itself didn't change. I did, just by waiting.
What's 3?
You can hear criticism without falling apart.
Oh, that one's tough for a lot of people.
It's not about liking criticism, by the way. Nobody actually enjoys it.
Good, because I definitely don't.
Good to know. Solidarity in not loving feedback. It's more that you don't fall apart because of it. Your boss points out a mistake, a friend says something a bit blunt, and you're upset for a minute, but you're still standing afterward.
I had that recently, actually. A colleague gave me some feedback, Feedback, on a project, and it stung a little at first.
Yeah, sometimes we take feedback personally.
Exactly. To take something personally means you feel like the criticism is really an attack on you.
Instead of thinking, maybe I can learn from this.
Exactly.
But
But by the next day, I actually used it. The project got better because of it.
That's exactly the sign. Not, I love being criticized, but I can use this to improve instead of just feeling attacked.
Improve is the key word there, I think, and it's rarely about the boss or the friend being right about everything either. Sometimes the feedback's only half fair.
So, what do you do with the half that isn't?
You let it go. You just keep the part that actually helps you and leave the rest behind. That's the not falling apart part, really. You get to choose what you take from it.
Fair enough. What's for then?
You keep going even when motivation completely disappears.
Oh, I felt this one this morning, actually.
What happened?
I genuinely didn't want to record today. No motivation at all, just tired and a bit flat.
So, this episode is basically undercover therapy for you today.
Basically, yeah, don't tell anyone.
But here we are.
That's really the whole sign. Not waiting to feel inspired before you act, just doing the thing anyway.
There's a phrase I really like here: show up.
As in, you do it even when you don't feel like it?
Exactly, you still show up. Motivation's unreliable, basically.
Completely unreliable. Some days it shows up, some days it doesn't. Strength is doing it either way.
That's actually a relief to hear, honestly. I always assumed people who have it together just feel motivated all the time.
Nobody does, I don't think. Not even people who look like they do. They've just stopped waiting for the feeling before they act.
Well, that's oddly comforting, actually. Sign 5 is the one I think most people will really recognize themselves in.
Go on.
You stop comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20.
That's such a useful way to put it.
It means you're comparing your beginning to someone else's much later stage.
And that's never really fair, meaning like someone bought a house, someone got promoted.
Someone speaks perfect English. Someone seems to have it all figured out. And you look at where you are and it feels small in comparison.
I do that constantly, actually. Scroll through something, and suddenly my own progress feels tiny. Someone posts a new job, a new house, a fluent conversation in English, and my own week suddenly feels small in comparison.
And none of what you're seeing is their whole story either. Just the highlight, not the 20 chapters that got them there.
That's such an obvious thing to say, but somehow I forget it every single time I open my phone. Says the guy who still second guesses his grammar after months of doing this podcast.
But you're comparing your beginning to someone else's 20th chapter. It was never a fair comparison in the first place, no matter how convincing it feels in the moment.
That's such a simple way to put it, but it actually helps. Still doesn't stop me from checking what chapter everyone else is on, though.
Comparison's a hard habit to break. I think that's exactly why this sign matters so much. Realizing you're stronger than you think partly just means noticing you were never behind to begin with. You were just at a different page.
Stronger than you think. That's basically the whole idea of this episode, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, sign 6, boundaries. Setting them without guilt.
That's a hard one for me.
For a lot of people, honestly, it's saying no, or I'm busy, or I can't today, or even maybe next week, without immediately feeling terrible about it afterward.
I think a lot of us were raised to believe saying no makes us difficult somehow.
Which is such a strange belief when you think about it, as if constantly saying yes, even when it costs you something, is the more honest option.
I usually say yes to everything and then quietly regret it later.
Which is exhausting long term. A boundary isn't rude, by the way, it's just information.
So the useful phrase is set a boundary.
Exactly, like saying, I can't do that today.
That's actually useful.
This works for me, this doesn't. People rarely take it as personally as we're afraid they will.
I like that reframe. Boundaries as information, not rejection.
Exactly. Like last week, a friend asked me to help move on the one evening I'd actually planned to rest. I said I couldn't and felt guilty about it for hours afterward.
Did the friendship survive?
Completely fine, actually. They just found someone else, and I got my evening. Genuinely the best trade I've made all year.
And every time you set one without guilt, that's strength too. Quiet but real.
All right, the one you promised would change everything. Sign 7.
You understand that pain is part of the process.
That sounds a little heavy for a Tuesday.
It's not as dramatic as it sounds, I promise. Think about learning English, actually. Some days are uncomfortable. Grammar feels confusing, you make the same mistake twice, you feel stuck.
Constantly, honestly. Some weeks it feels like I'm making the exact same mistake I made months ago.
Same with the gym, or raising kids, or starting a new job. Everything genuinely worthwhile feels uncomfortable sometimes. That discomfort isn't a sign something's wrong. It's usually a sign something's actually happening. That discomfort isn't a red flag. Sometimes it's actually part of growing.
I like that phrase, a red flag.
Something that tells you there might be a problem.
Exactly, but discomfort isn't always a red flag. So the discomfort itself is almost proof of progress.
In a strange way, yes. If it never felt hard, you probably wouldn't be growing at all. I actually think that's the most freeing part of this whole sign. You stop treating discomfort as a red flag and start treating it almost like a signpost.
A signpost pointing where, though?
Toward whatever you're actually trying to become, I think, not away from it.
That reframes basically everything we've talked about today.
It does, actually. Going to the gym for the first time in months, feeling awkward, starting a new job, not knowing where anything is, raising a child through a difficult stage, none of it feels comfortable while it's happening.
But looking back, the uncomfortable parts are usually exactly what you remember growing from.
Exactly. If it stayed easy the whole time, there probably wasn't much growth happening in the first place. All 7 signs, really.
So, English learners, here's what we discovered today. Maybe mental strength isn't about never struggling at all.
It's about sitting with silence, pausing before reacting, handling criticism, moving without motivation, not comparing chapters, setting boundaries, and accepting that discomfort is part of growing.
None of these are dramatic. No one's climbing a mountain or giving some big speech.
Exactly. It's all quiet stuff, the kind of thing nobody applauds you for, which is probably why people underestimate how strong they actually are. 7 small signs, and probably more of them apply to you already than you realized, quietly, without you ever calling it strength.
That's honestly the part that gets me. Most of it never even gets noticed, let alone celebrated.
As always, here's the part a lot of you wait for. A few phrases picked just for you, straight from today's episode.
I needed a moment for when you pause instead of reacting right away.
I can handle it, for criticism or anything else that stings a little at first.
I'm not there yet. Honest without being hard on yourself.
One step at a time, for exactly the kind of progress we talked about today.
And if you only remember one thing from today, you're stronger than you think.
And like always, you'll find these plus more useful vocabulary from today's episode down in the description. If today helped you see yourself a little differently, a like and a subscription really mean a lot to us.
And if one of these 7 signs described someone you know, share this episode with them too. Sometimes people need to hear it from someone else before they believe it about themselves.
That's honestly true for me too. Hearing all 7 of these today made this week feel a little less like a failure. I came into this episode thinking I'd fallen short somehow, and I'm leaving it thinking maybe I handled more than I gave myself credit for.
That's really the whole point of today, isn't it? Not that everything was perfect, but that you were stronger through it than you noticed at the time.
That's exactly it, yeah. And if you're listening to this after a rough week of your own, chances are you handled more of it than you're giving yourself credit for, too.
So whatever this week still throws at you, you don't have to feel strong. You just have to keep showing up. That's already the sign.
Thank you for spending this time with us.
See you next time, English adventurers. And remember, whatever this week throws at you, you're stronger than you think.